In this chapter, we get to see the donut race in action for the majority of it, and a lot of back and forth between the participants, but ultimately a very fun time.
Hunse pisse, chapter 307, ready, a set, a donut.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and adventure-filled and event-filled, Davy-back fight-filled tale of One Piece. Our last chapter, of course, saw us starting up volume 33 over here and really kind of getting a feel for the Davy-back fight and some of the rules that that it entails and everything else, because obviously the Straw Hats are now committed to going into this against Foxy, the Silver Fox, and of course the Foxy Pirates. So this race that was going to be started at the end of the chapter, already the other team has an unfair advantage because they have a shark. And the shark is actually like their boat, part of their boat that's propelling them, and obviously a shark's going to be able to swim much faster than anybody paddling or rowing. Now we find out that the actual rules of the game, kind of right before they hit the gun to say go, is that you can do anything you want to try to interfere with the other team to keep them from reaching the goal. So obviously attacking each other, using pistols, slingshots, whatever, it's all fair game. And we find this out very quickly as well once they kind of say go right off the bat. Obviously the Foxy Pirates and Porche and Monda, I think one of his names were in there. There's three guys. There's a Fishman and that Porche, and they're riding on top of their third participant, which is actually the shark. And he's cruising along as being a boat. Now the first thing that winds up happening is that the Foxy Pirates, the rest of them that are on land over there, they immediately go and attack Nami and Robin and Usopp, And it's bullshit as far as I'm concerned, but I guess that's part of the traditional rules of the Davy-back fight. Even people on the shore can help, even the people that aren't participating directly in the actual event. Although I think it's kind of cheap and it's bullshit. But anyway, so they kind of recover from that, and it really winds up being the whole chapter is just this kind of back and forth, them trying to do things to get the upper hand, At one point, the Straw Hats go to use a wind dial, but it doesn't give them that much speed. It doesn't really give them a boost at all. Robin uses her arms to go and start rowing, because obviously she can sprout arms from anywhere. Then they go and it looks like somebody winds at one point, towards the beginning, it looks like there's like a boulder comes flying at them from the, which was obviously launched from one of the Foxy Pirates on there. And then it's cool because you go and you see Sanji on the shore, because then they're like, well, can our people do the same thing and help us? And you see Sanji going like, no, don't you dare hurt my Nami and Robin. And he starts busting heads, and taking out guys that were trying to interfere from the shore. So not really a fair fight, but I guess it kind of starts to even out in terms of fairness a little bit. And then the Fishman that's on there, Capote, I think his name is, goes to do some Fishmen Karate, and there's this wave split thing and everything else to try to hit them, and it's neat because you get Usopp goes and fires one of his fire stars or whatever, just like he did back in the Arlong Park arc to that Fishman Chu, I think his name was, and of course it doesn't do really any damage to him, just kind of irritates the guy. But then Nico Robin goes and she's just like Ocho Fleurs, and she goes and 8 arms wind up coming out of this guy, and just start grabbing him and hurting him, and obviously pulling him, keeping him from doing any of his Fishmen Karate. So it is neat though, eventually, to see this back and forth nonsense, that winds up happening between these two, and just the kind of antics of both crews. They wind up actually getting, at one point Robin goes and attaches her arms one to another to go and actually hang onto the back of their boat, the Foxy Pirates boat, to go and get pulled along with them so they can keep pace. They notice that though, and obviously she winds up having to let go because they go to attack her arms. But then it's cool because Usopp's going and he's kind of fooling around. He's like, I don't want to lose, I don't want to die. And I'm like, what the hell? And then all of a sudden, man, Usopp just like almost like an explosion, like what the hell? And then all of a sudden they're like, whoa, we're winning, we're in the lead. Usopp wound up going and strapping an impact dial to his hand, right? And we know that those things they're hardcore. I mean, Nami had almost tore her damn arm off using Gonfalls back in Skypiea, but he used an impact dial, and that impact wound up giving them, obviously towards the back of the boat, facing their way. That impact wound up pushing them forward so much that they were able to then, really keep pace and actually get ahead of them. The chapter, though, winds up ultimately winding down and ending up as they're approaching the whirlpool and this coral stuff and everything else. There's obviously some going to be some obstacles in front of them in addition to having to fight off the Foxy Pirates. But we wind up getting, and I think the one guy's name, I forget what his name is, he's this giant gorilla, and the Hamburg, I think his name is, and he goes and Foxy's actually riding on him to kind of go and get around and maybe get ahead of the game with things, and then the chapter ends with showing us this kind of sinister looking picture of this guy Foxy, who really, I can't take him seriously. To me, he kind of just looks like a joke. I don't know, it just, and I know that, again, it's supposed to be like that, he's supposed to be a joke. He's not supposed to be taken, I think, too seriously at all, but we wind up seeing him at the end over here, and he's just like, I've just thought up something evil, And you know what he kind of reminds me of? He almost reminds me of, in the first animated movie, Despicable Me. Steve Carell does the voice, does a genius job, too, of it, of talking like he's this sort of like Russian, like evil genius, or somewhere European, I guess. I don't know if it's particularly Russian, but Gru from the Despicable Me movie. And he's just, that's what this guy reminds me of, just the look on his face and everything else. And he doesn't seem to be particularly bright, but it seems like he's got it down pat with being able to do these 3-coin Davy back fights with traditional rules, and it seems like he's kind of got it down pat where he like cheats without cheating, you know what I mean? He goes and he finds all the little loopholes, all the gray areas, just so he can always win, and he says that they've never lost, at least in the race portion of the fight, they've never lost with traditional rules. So I'm definitely looking forward to dive into the next one here, and I'm certainly going to go and get through these and read the next one here in just about a minute. So my chapter question for you is, though, ultimately, what do you think of the rules initially of the Davy back fight, at least in this first portion in the race? I thought it was kind of bullshit that they said, you can use anything on each other, but they never mentioned that outside interference could help you as well. So certainly the Straw Hats, I think, if they use their powers right, can have an advantage, because between Usopp and the shit that he can invent and come up with on the fly, Nami and the climb attack, if she has it on her, and Robin just being a devil fruit bearer that actually has a very powerful devil fruit, I honestly don't see why, when they were still in sight of them, why she wasn't sprouting arms from them and just going and throwing them all overboard and trying to choke the shark out, or I don't know, kill it, whatever. I mean, you can attack your opponents. But anyway, like I said, my chapter question is, what are your thoughts on the rules, I guess, and sort of the omission of some of the actual, the fine print rules for this first portion, the race, obviously, the donut race of the Davy back fight. Leave your answer to that question in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation. Well, if you like breasts and Navigator Nami as much as I do, you should come and follow me over on my other channel, and Facebook and Twitter as well.